Fuzzy. Okay. So from this week, we're going to have a little ramp up the speed. Also, we're going to start individual assignments from this week. Remember, I'm not one of those lecturers that want to see parrot style. So your assignments can really interpret your worldview, how you see it, but always to incorporate the learning. Because for me, that's not a transcript that everybody must have the same answers. It's really how do you see what we introduce to you through your worldview, whether you are from Egypt and you stay in Canada, or whether you are from one place and you work in another place, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're an intrapreneur, that is where I want to see the richness of your own experiences. So also from tomorrow, I'm going to sit and start marking, giving comments back. That's what I've put the next few days aside to just go to week 1, week 2, and anybody who needs support from week 3 onwards to have one-on-ones with you as well. Okay. So today we're going to look at managing external relations in terms of small business. However, if you don't have a small business, then see it in terms of whatever framework is going to work for you. Whether you know somebody who has a small business or whether you are managing external relations from the job where you are sitting in at this stage. Let me quickly, okay. So the environment, I want to share with you something in terms of the environment. After I've given you the definition from this book, so they say the environment is all the forces outside your company or of the entrepreneur. Why that word is such an interesting word is in 2015 and 16, I went to Oxford and I trained under, you guys can Google her, Dana Zawar. So she is also placed in the Hall of Fame this year through the work of quantum management and quantum leadership. So I went to train with her as I'm the only one she's certified in the world so far of spiritual intelligence in business. And so it's not spiritual from the sake of, but spiritual intelligence like you get EQ, but spiritual intelligence in terms of sustainable business and then quantum leadership. So in that same year, I had an 11-month contract as a consultant with WITS Business School, which is made up of 37 heads of schools. So let's say chemistry, accounting, all those are counting as a school, and then there's a head of school over each one. So there was 37 of them, and then they added 13 other executives across the university to make up a group of 50. So this word, all of the forces outside, gave me a really different perspective one specific day. The reason why is we did a session on quantum leadership, and it's all the professors. Now, these are not general, normal professors. These are professors that are heads of schools, and then they have lots of staff under them. So we gave them an exercise to say, okay, should they go out to a school in a rural area where children don't have computers, but they need to teach them computer literacy? They must then develop a small curriculum, and at the end of the session, the children need to have certain outcomes. So then we gave each group a box, and in the box we put a few items in. So it was fascinating to see as we gave them the assignment, they opened their box. These professors looked at this box like you could see in over their faces, they were thinking like, what the heck must we do with this box? So what they've missed, somebody's mic, John, welcome. I just want to put your mic off. So what they've missed in the instruction is to enable their lesson in this rural area in terms of literacy. They can use anything in the environment. So all what they focused on is what is the environment in this box. But their mindsets was so narrow that they could not see that the environment actually includes everything outside the box. So why I'm telling you, they had to realize that day that despite being professors, heads of one of the best universities in South Africa, and which university is also going global and also in Africa, they could not see or hear the word in their environment. So when we illustrated that, they realized that their own mindsets are very boxed, despite them being professors who's teaching others. So this is also whether you are in a corporate as an entrepreneur, whether you are in a small business or a bigger business as an entrepreneur. It is in this world where we live. And last week we spoke about the VUCA world. Is if you're not going to be flexible and super flexible and adapt in terms of the challenges, the complexity of the external environment around your business, whether corporate or small business, you may not make it or may not be sustainable. So that's very important, that it's a small word to say all your environment, everything outside of you. But you can make it or you can not make it in business if you are not very attuned to your and adaptable to your external environment. Okay. Now, your environment and how you see your environment is also a key element in terms of your organizational identity and its organizational culture. Okay, all of you are in business, and the majority of you are in corporates. So each of your organization has an organizational identity and organizational culture. So when you see any of the assignments or any of the learning, to make it easier from you, do it from the perspective of what is your organizational identity, whether big or small, and what is the organizational culture to which you contribute to form, to influence the external or internal environment. Okay. Now, I'm going to go to the second slide and I'll quickly show you why, and we're going to stand still on that. Why I haven't touched on this slide here on the BRIE model is I have brought in 2 other slides for you. We touched on it the previous week, but I've brought in 2 other slides for you where we're going to work on the BRIE model. So what I want you to do is, as we go through, make notes, because on your assignment this week, you're going to work on some of these slides. So on each slide, I will say, okay, this you need to bring into your individual assignment. Can you see in front of you assignments for week 3?
Yes.
Professor,
Yes.
we can see the screen. I can't see the screen for myself. If you're sharing something.
I also don't see.
You don't see. So what are you seeing? Just tell me, what do you see?
Just the team's view in which the participants exist.
I see assignment for week 3.
Let me just check with Mpilo.
No, but it's a scene.
Can you see the screen?
Yes,
Noran
I
is
also can.
Nuran, we can
Oh.
see to just look
Yes.
out and log in again, Nuran. Try it.
I also don't see it, so I will also do the
Try
same.
to log out and log in again because it's
I can
synced.
unshare and then share again. Then you guys log in and out. So I'm also will unshare and share again to see if that will make a change, because it's strange that some can see and some can't see. Okay, so let's check with Olena quickly. Olena?
Yes, unfortunately, I still don't see the screen.
Can you see the slide now, assignments for week 3?
No.
Okay, let me unshare and then I share again. What do you see on my screen now?
First, I couldn't see it, but now I can see it. Now I don't see it.
Okay. Okay, let me try again.
Now we see your
Okay.
face.
I hope you see my
And
big
then
smile.
the assignment for week 3. Yes.
Can you see?
So,
Okay,
so
Olena?
I
Assignment.
recommend
Yes,
people
I
to
can
log
see
out and
already.
log in again.
Okay, can you see now?
Yes, I finally see. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for alerting me to that. So what you're going to do this week is every week there will be a quiz, but those things take it's very short. And then there's the end of model questions, just to test your understanding on certain things on the screen. And please remember, I am not overly strict. If I can see you get the gist of it, for me it is not, I never believed in a parrot style where you need to go and put things exactly as in the theory. For me it is more about how do you develop a new way of thinking outside of the box. As long as I can identify the basic of the theory and the rest is your interpretation, that is also also good. So then the third one is, because we're not going to have the forum thing again. So what I want us to start looking, so I'm going to take you as we go through, you're going to make notes. So in this one, you need to take on the position as a consultant to a small business. And if you've none of you have ever been a consultant, I think, except Lazat, is to say, what would you, even if it's your a friend's business, what would you have recommended to that business? So in this one is the first thing is the BRIE model. I've put there slide number 3. There are 4 things that you will look at there: boundary, resources, intentions, and change. But I'm going to make it easy for you. I'll say this slide and that slide. So by using the BRIE model, how can you recommend to the entrepreneur then to also apply the principle of bootstrapping in the environment? We're going to look at it now. That is slide 4. Okay. The purpose, the one purpose is so that they develop legitimacy, because the entrepreneur without legitimacy will not get to the point of true sustainability. So there are 3 legitimacy indicators, which I've said to slides 10 to 13. Then what is very important is to say, how would that help them to make the right ethical decision? Okay. And then you must align everything with the Sustainable United Nations Sustainable Development Goals of not 2023, it's 2030, to ensure that they can get to sustainability for their business. Okay. You can take it from the perspective of your company. Or your country where you are in, because that will also bring a difference between all the answers. What is important is I've attached a PDF of a report that was presented to the United Nations at the end of 2022. So take that context. So it's a little bit like puzzle building. And so I'm taking 4 elements of the BRIE model. I'm taking this element of the bootstrap model. I'm taking these learnings in terms of ethical decision to do the right thing. And then how do you lump it together in terms of the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals? Now, you don't have to use all the goals. You can choose, let's say, which 3 goals you want to, it's closest to your heart. And that is going to be the easiest for you. And then make at the end a recommendation to a small business to say, okay, by using this is how it will benefit your business. And if you don't do that, that is how it's going to disadvantage your business. Okay, you can really limit that to, let's say, 5 benefits and 5 disadvantages. Okay, so it's not a difficult thing. All what you need is puzzle building. Take the BRIE. Okay, yes, I understand the BRIE. Take the bootstrapping. Yes, I understand. How bootstrapping can be practically used. You take the legitimacy. Okay, so now how do I bring the BRIE and the bootstrapping within as a feeder into the legitimacy? And you can create a scenario to say, let's say, corruption. Okay. I don't know if you in your countries have corruption, but we do. To say, okay, let's say your entrepreneur cannot get access to business unless they need to pay somebody somewhere something to get the business. Or you can use any scenario. You just need to create a scenario as a problem from the entrepreneur. Okay, so I will reword it quickly afterwards before Mpilo upload that. We're going to come back to this before we end so that you have an idea. But as you go through, I'm going to say, okay, this slide, this slide, this slide, and then you plug and play. Okay. Any questions or comments before we go dive into the work? Okay, then I'm going to go on. So the first one is I've brought this in for you. So these slides are not the exact slides. I'm teaching you guys a little just deeper value. Otherwise, it's difficult to work on slides where there's just words, but not practical application. So this is the first concept that you will use in your case study. And that case study you create in for yourself as a problem that you know an entrepreneur have, or that you in your business have, and you just say you're doing this as an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur. Okay, either inside a big business or external entrepreneur with a small business. Okay, so last week we've touched on BRIE model, but I've brought in here as a refresher. So the BRIE model there's 4 elements. The one is there, it's on the top, the boundary, and that is to create a place for your business in terms of location and people's minds. So if last week we had a discussion in terms of culture. So let's say somebody's wife who's in Egypt, they need to bring extra income, and that the wife now started making food to sell, to pay school fees, and to contribute to help the family. That is already entrepreneurship. Whether that is a registered business or just as a sole proprietor, that is already a form of entrepreneurship. So that is, so then for let's say for that mum or that wife is, what is the place where in terms of location and in people's mind to say, okay, I'm going to go to Nuran if I want to get the best, let's say kebabs or the best this, I know Nuran is the queen of, Nuran, I'm just using it as an example, is the best queen of kebabs in this specific environment. So she already has a place in people's minds. The second element is resources. That includes the money, the product, knowledge. It also includes the financial resources, and also can Nuran do it on her own, or does she need somebody to go and deliver this, or does she need other human resources? Okay. Then the third element in the BRIE model is about intention. Why did the person start the business? Is it from necessity or is it from passion? Necessity can become passion, or necessity and passion can go together as well. To say, what is the intention, the reason why, let's say, Nuran has started that business? Then the fourth element is exchange. Is how do you, it's moving the resources, the products, the services to in exchange for money. So let's say Nuran as she makes as an extra income after work, certain, whether it's clothes or food, that is how does she move it to those which falls into a boundary from point A to point B so that she can get income in. Another person can not do a product, but they can do a service. They can maybe, like the assignment is you're going to be a consultant. So you need to move your advice, your recommendations, your support from point A where you are to point B where the entrepreneur is, so that you can get money in exchange for that. So that is the first portion of the assignment. It is how do you use or acknowledge the BRIE model in your case study. Any questions or comments before I go on to the next one? Okay. So, oh, and by the way, we will have a break on the dot 4 o'clock. Okay, then the next one is, remember, that's the second part of your assignment, is the bootstrapping method. Okay, so what is bootstrapping? There I've put some just a picture in there for you with a highlighted to say that is when you start a business from scratch and you're building it up with minimum outside investment. The majority of small businesses start like that. So I can give my own example, and I would love also to later on in a discussion to bring your own experience as well. So I've been a consultant for many years. So this is the first time since February, March last year that I actually got employees. Like Mpilo is working with me. And so I've in my business, because I'm a subject matter expert in what I've done, I don't really have the need for employees. I worked with associates. But now when you scale to the next level, then you say, okay, I can't do it alone, and I can't do it only with associates. So I need, let's say, an employee as employee or two as an example. Okay. Other examples of bootstrapping is when you buy used equipment versus new equipment. That's one form of bootstrapping. Let's say you, another example is instead of buying, let's say, a computer, you can lease a computer or a printer. That's another form of bootstrapping. A third one is, how do I get, instead of me as an entrepreneur or you as an entrepreneur, paying for certain things, how do you do that? Now, if you're a non-profit, you can do it with, let's say, with grants. Or if you're in a business, you can get an investor that pay for certain things. In South Africa, we have a legislation called BBBEE, and I'll just put it for you in the chat. Yeah, which stands for Broad-Based Black Economic Empowerment. Okay. So you and your country may have different forms of legislation. So in our case is there's a lot of companies must pay 2% of their net PAT, which is the net profit after tax. Let me just put it in here. 2% of their net profit after tax must go towards the development of their suppliers, and 1% of their net profit after tax must go to the development of entrepreneurs that are not yet their suppliers. So this is a different form of funding, even if the example here is obtaining grants, because grants are also, in our case, an element under this legislation. Another example is minimizing personal expenses so that you don't bleed your business dry by through your personal lifestyle. Is to say the business income and expenses are for the business, and you get a fee, let's say, for your services, and you live from that. But from experience is what I found is a lot of startups plus entrepreneurs in the first 1 or 2 years don't know how to separate their personal expense or their personal lifestyle versus the business and then the business gets income and the person lives on that. So that is something that I found happens a lot. Then another form is another example is the fourth one is also part of minimizing costs is that either you can work from home or you can share an office space, a co-worker office space with someone, because in that way you get the legitimacy of you have a formal office and you still can save on expenses. I don't know about your countries, but in South Africa, after COVID, a lot of entrepreneurs actually have realized that if they had the office spaces, they would have paid it, but they would have never been there. So because so many of us had to work from home, a lot of the corporates also are changing their policies that staff only have to go in, let's say, once or twice in a week to do the corporate, and the rest they can work from home. So yes, it differs from company to company, but I can see there's a huge shift where previously if you worked from home, they would say, ha, you're not credible. Where now it is such a natural thing that nobody even asks. They rather ask, so why don't you work from home? Rather than spending your money on rental space. Then on the right-hand side, the second block is obtaining payments in advance from customers. So I can also see that the government with us doesn't do it, but there are a change in terms of where, especially in consulting, where persons say, okay, I can do the work for you, but you need to put a deposit down. But that also differs from company to company. Then the last, second last one is instead of duplicating, let's say I buy, okay, I'll give you a good example. Instead of, I attended an amazing session a few years ago with McKinsey, KPMG, there was another consulting firm in South Africa, then it was with us, the Department of Trade and Industry, the Mining Chamber, Ford, there was a few mines, and it's really AngloGold Ashanti, so it's quite international, big mines, and they came together to, and the Competition Commission was also there, so that they don't see us colluding. But the case study was there, and that's a fascinating case study that the guy from Brazil's McKinsey came to introduce to us. And instead of all of them on buying from Caterpillar, these big vehicles, we call it CAT, but it's Caterpillar, they all are buying high prices when they secure from Caterpillar. So they wanted to see if they could buy certain things together. Can't they negotiate better prices with Caterpillar? But then how can the Competition Commission approve that so that they don't get fined for overstepping certain rules of the Competition Commission? So the example that CAT, through this consultant at McKinsey, came and said what they did in Brazil was they identified in their category management, in their supply chain, they identified that on their purchasing from Caterpillar, there are things that's under guarantee, which they can't touch, but then there's a lot of money that also spent from things that, that they are buying from CAT, but it's not under guarantee. So they made an analysis to say what is the category spent under to CAT in terms of those things spent under guarantee, and what are the category spent to Caterpillar on those things not under guarantee. Then what they did is they said, okay, it's still a substantial amount that they spent to CAT for the things not under guarantee. But then they got approval from government there that they can start using localization for the things. So let's say the mirror broke, or this thing broke, repair and maintenance to the Caterpillar equipment that is not under guarantee. So then they aligned it with their localization strategy. And what is the impact to that? Huge cost savings over and above stimulating local entrepreneurship. So that is a form of coordinating purchases with other businesses to align with, let's say, localization strategy as a boost to local entrepreneurship. Then the last one is absolutely a lean approach to cost management, so that there is not wasteful expenditure. So these are some forms and examples of bootstrapping. Any questions or comments on this? If you have a specific category or example in your company or in your country, please share these things so that we all can learn from each other. Okay. Any questions or comments on this? Nothing. Okay. So then the next one is, this is just a slide explaining, okay, from the circle at the outside, is there's a difference. If you look at the top of that circle, can you see the words general environment? Can you see that? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can see. Yes.
Okay. So this is important just to distinguish. Thank you so much for that. This is where you need to distinguish between what is your seen in entrepreneurship or in business as your general environment versus your task environment. And if I've looked at the questions, that one of the things they're definitely going to ask is so that you know what's the differences between general environment and task environment. So let's look at the big outside circle of general environment. This is where that looks on which it's a sectorial focus. So are your organization falling into which sector? Or the entrepreneur, which sector are they falling in? So that's described as the general environment. Whether it is, which ones impact you? Is it the economic sector? Is it the international sector? Is it the political legal sector? Is it the referred as the demographic sector? Is the ecosystem infrastructure? What is the influence of the social cultural sector in terms on your organization and the technological sector? Now, in the world we live, your business may be influenced by a combination of those sectors. So let's quickly just check in. Who wants to share which sector their organization are the biggest, let's say the primary and the secondary general environments which have the biggest impact or influence in your organization? Who wants to share with us? Matar, thank you.
Yes. So I have a small business that I'm running it right now with myself that is growing up small chicken for a
Okay.
period of time, then selling it to the consumer. Okay. And this is a very small business for me. But it is affected for sure by a lot of the general environment or I mean the external factors here, like the international sector. It affected it a lot. Also, it is a small one, but after the Russian-Ukrainian war, everything raised. All the prices were raised in a way that the price for one cycle of growing up this small chicken was almost tripled. So the price was a little bit too much high. So I was very much affected by this one, and even many people, they stopped doing such small businesses because the price of the end product at last is going very high, and that is why the consumers themselves, instead of buying, for example, 10 per month, they will prefer to buy 5. That's an example. Okay.
Beautiful.
But yes, so this is an example for such international sector. Yes, but it was affecting this small, very small project that I'm running.
Okay. Okay. And Matar, if I may ask, because normally what happens is if I can put my hand like here, is you as the entrepreneur, your cost, like you said, your costs go up like triple. But sometimes you necessarily can't take that triple increase and let the client, the customer absorbs that. So will you be able to absorb a big portion of the increase of the triple into your prices or not? Because that's what I assume, that people then can't take 10 chickens, but they can take, let's say, 5 chickens, because your price also should have gone up, but not to normally to the extent to absorb a triple input pricing to your costs.
Okay, I will tell you what I'm doing, because I focus on the consumers who are looking for quality products, not looking for the price itself. So when I raised the price for the chicken, the end product at last, okay, my target customers were the people who are always looking for the quality, not the price. Okay, and that is why, and they are a little bit rich enough so that yes, they will pay for higher values, for higher prices of the end product of the chicken, because they are looking for quality and they need to and they have the ability to buy, and they have as well the willing to buy quality products. So if other entrepreneurs were looking only for prices, and the
Yeah.
end product is only I mean they are competing with the prices only, not other edges like quality or whatever, so they were very much affected. In my case, yes, a little bit. I had to stop a little bit because the fund itself for running one period or one cycle of this product, it's about 35 days, but it was just up for 3 times. So I had to think a little bit about how, if I am going to do, will people will buy it or not. And I stopped for 2-3 months until I took the decision. Okay, and but I still found that people are still looking for the end product from my side, and that is why I said, okay, let me invest more, so I will pay more to cover the extra money needed for one cycle. But at last, I will find some people who are looking for the end product, so it will not make any loss for me.
Beautiful. Congratulations with that, eh?
Thank
That's
you.
very impressive. Ollie, can you come on the screen? You have a non-profit. Ollie, are you there? Ollie is not there. Does anyone else want to share before I go on this? Thank you so much, Amatar. That's really, really insightful, eh? Does anyone else want to share? Not. Okay. So then what entrepreneurs also must take into account is the inner environment. So in terms of that is, or before you can get to that, is the task environment. And that is where things like unions will also influence, and that will depend the context from country to country to say, what is your task environment? So in our case is, it will be, let's say, our also part of that is the legislative environment. Then what entrepreneurs also need to consider is the third circle, and that's the internal environment. That will include groupings like, you'll see there's the green one is your public environment. That includes, let's say, non-profits, interest groups, the media as an overlap. It will include your business community, and it will also include your entrepreneurial ecosystem. So, for example, I want to give an example of on the ecosystem. We have one amazing entrepreneur that we are developing. Her name is CD, and her company's name is Garments of Rare Distinction. So what she does is she go to you know, in our country, people buy a mealie meal to make porridge from. So one for example is, let's say, the branding on the bag where it's the mealie meal inside to make porridge is, let's say, from the brand Evisa. So she can get those bags that people throw away, and she makes it from recycle. She makes the most beautiful handbags, or chips, you know, knickknacks, or I don't know what's the international brands, but the chips, the Lays, the Simbas, or the chips that you eat, the crisps, the dried crisps. So she take all the bags that people throw away once they've eaten the chips, they clean it, they cut it, and they make the most beautiful pencil cases and wallets and things. So we want to use that now to say what is the ecosystem and the value chain from, let's say, Christa throw away a chips packet after she's completed that. How do we get more of those what people throw away? And then how can we in a community put like a production system in place, and then export these, because she exported to Germany, and also in one of the big malls in Cape Town called the Waterfront, they sell that the products, but it's all made from recycled material. But the quality of that is just so amazing. So for me is in the world we live in is physically to start let your eyes start looking and say, what does other people throw away? What can be recycled into products? So that's also some of the products we are getting involved in, which for me is very, very excited. Ollie, if you can hear me, that is one thing that I would love to introduce you to CD, because I believe that is something, even in KZN, where you two can also align. Another example is, if you go to a convention, these banners where you put your company details on. So what they do is people who don't want to use their banners anymore, they take those materials as offcuts. They cut it. She makes jackets, like designer jackets, and put it in there. At one stage can give you pictures of that, but those are the things is what is in your environment that other people disregard that can fit into an ecosystem and empower a community, can empower a family that can be recycled into other products. So those are things that excites me a little in terms of the power of the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Any questions or comments on the general or the task or the internal environment, like Matara has shared now? Anyone wants to share?
I have a question, Professor.
Okay, Nuran?
Can you hear me clear?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay, my question is about the multiple circles at the union section.
Yeah.
Why they are separate and integrated in some regions, and instead of being all elements in the union's circle? Because I don't understand the correlation between them, why they are not included in one circle together.
Okay, so the union a very good question. Thank you, Nuran. So the union falls under the task environment because the union also influences how certain things, what they've been pushing to say, how they want certain things to happen for, let's say, some of the members that are part of the union. For example, we in South Africa have quite a lot of unions. So they will have meetings and they would put pressure on government and they will put pressure on businesses, how to influence certain things for a better environment, a better outcome for the members. So they're quite influential in South Africa. I'm not sure in your own countries, but in South Africa, unions have quite a lot of influence. If you look at the entrepreneurial, the internal environment, you'll see on the top, so a board of directors is part of the inner thing, the inner influence of the strategic, how an organization should strategically take a stance on their way forward. So we fall under, like, IFRS, but we also have a King 4, we have a huge legislation. So this is not a South African circle, but in terms of organizations, the board of directors normally need to practice very good governance for the health and the strategic way for entrepreneurs. If you take the overlaps, if you take the circle of, let's say, the internal environment and the public one, you'll see there's an overlap. So where they are overlapping is to say, let's say the social networks, the client's customers are falling both in the task circle, that's why, and in the environmental circle. So the family and friends also fall both in the internal environment and in the task environment. If you look at the circle below them, the overlap, the professional and trade associations, that one will both influence the internal environment and the business community, because that falls in that specific circle. If you look at the media one, that one falls both in an overlap between the public circle that falls under the task environment, but also it falls into the business community that forms part of the task environment. So these where there's overlaps, it's where they can't fall under only task, or they can't fall under only internal environment if they have an influence, an overlapping influence in both environments. So this is how they've designed this diagram to make it easier on the eye to see, okay, this one either falls fully in the task environment or it falls on an overlap between the various environments. Does that help a little, Nuran?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Thank
have a
you for
question
that.
also.
Yes, Matar?
Matar. So when we say here, so yeah, just to make it more easy for me to understand it, so we have the internal environment, which is something inside the firm of the entrepreneur. That is something inside him, because it includes a board of directors, owners, employees, and some other things that is related to inside. And we have the task environment that could be something outside this firm, but it is still not related to the other big, I would say, big names like economic sector or international sector or something like that, but it's something internal inside the company, for as a country, for example, or both. What's inside the task environment and the general environment are both that are the outside the firm, but we are splitting according to the different categorization here.
Beautiful. And also what you have said also, this is everything on the outside, the general environment is influencing the task environment. So it's like an egg. So that influenced the task environment, and then the task environment influenced the internal environment. And then on those things between the task and environments, there are overlaps, but the general environment influenced directly the task environment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, does that help? Beautiful for that summary. Anyone else who want to share or ask a question? Okay, so on the next one is, this is basically what we've discussed now, is just to say where does the general, the internal environment fall and fit into how does everything come together. So that's just a brief summary in terms of what we have discussed now. Okay, then the next one is I've highlighted for you in yellow so that it's easier on the eye. So the first one is, it is important whether, like Matar is doing a small a chicken farming production that is of cells, or whether you in a Siemens in a bigger company. It doesn't matter if you in an entrepreneurial environment or entrepreneurial environment. It's each one will have at least six type of resources. The one is your physical resources. So what physical resources would Matar need for his small business? What they call it social capital, or what relational resources will he need for his business? What organizational resources? What financial resources? Does he need intellectual or human resources? What will it be? And then what technological resources? So these are the basic 6 type of resources that any business, or in this case, small business, will need. Okay. Now, for each of them, a successful startup or a successful entrepreneur knows what each of types of resources you will need. But then it's what do you have and what is it that you don't have? Those are the things. Is what do you have? How can you use that for the at its best in the entrepreneurial ecosystem? And what is it that you don't have? And how can you get that, even if it's on a phased approach as the business grows? So when we, and after this we'll take a break, when we develop entrepreneurs, the first thing in a mentoring session, when they say, I can't do this and that, I don't have this. So I said to them, what do you have? Okay, let's see, what is it, what's in your hands? What are whether your gifts, your talents, your resources, what is it that you do have? Okay, are you using that to the optimum? Not. Okay, so first let's fix that so that you use what you don't have, so that you don't focus more on what you don't have versus on using what you have to the maximum. And that applies to each of us. What is it that we have in terms of gifts and talents? Are we using what we have to the optimum? And if not, how can we use it to the optimum? And then we focus on what is it that we don't have, and then put a project plan in approach plan in place to say what are the most important things that we need from that what we don't have. Does this help? Yes? Everybody's very quiet. Are you still there?
Yes,
okay.
Yes, it helps a lot.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So what we're going to do after the break, we're going to go into legitimacy. Then we still have a lot to do. We're going to go into, I'm going to quickly take you through the legitimacy indicators. Then we're going to work on sustainability. I love the sustainability. And then I want to take you quickly into ethical decisions. So then we break for 5 minutes, and then we're going to go on. Is 5 minutes okay? Let's make it 8 minutes. Okay, let's make it 8 minutes on my watch. It's now 16:02. Let's start again on 16:10. Then you have an 8-minute break. Okay, I'll be back now. See you now. Okay, are you ready? Are you all ready? Okay, thank you, Abulela. Thank you, Naran. Okay, so there are 3 things that I want to take you through before we end at 5. The one is legitimacy. So the first thing on legitimacy, I have, let me just put this on the slideshow. Oopsie, slideshow. Can you all see in front of you building legitimacy?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so there's somebody I need to let in. Winnie. Okay. Welcome back, Winnie. So the one thing is, let's say we take Matar's business now of the chickens, okay? With his high wealth, or if I can put it, clients for that, is in their eyes, he may have the legitimacy in terms of their opinion. And where he needs to buy certain, let's say, feed for the chickens, with those suppliers, he may have legitimacy. Also, for example, let's say with some of his competitors, they will say, "Yo, that guy is taking our business away." So in their eyes, they will have legitimacy. So this is where the market decides whether the market is suppliers or whether the market are your clients. To say, is Matar's business, does he have the appropriate legitimacy, or not. In our terms, let's say some of our suppliers don't know what they want to, that we develop, is they will come there and they do everything from A to Z. And the first thing that we need to bring them back is to say, you cannot go to market, let's say to a corporate, and you offer them from construction to cleaning to services to consultancy to this. So my experience from certain corporates will say, Christa, we cannot work with somebody, they call it a fly-by-night. The term to say we cannot work with somebody who doesn't have a focus area and don't know. It's like, Christa, tomorrow there's a tender going out for trucks. So the person who has cleaning services today, tomorrow, can have the truck business as well. It's not that it's wrong. It's just that if they are not a mature business as well, or yet, corporate clients may say that we can't use you because you don't specialize, you don't focus. We don't know if you're going to be a risk to us or not. Okay. Then the second block is legitimacy. Is, let's say we take Matar's example of the chickens again, is those clients who are willing to pay those higher prices. He has established a place of trust between entrepreneur and client. So if they say, Matar said, okay, we have X amount of chickens, they're willing to pay that because they are trusting the quality that they are going to get from him. So trust is very, very important. Okay, then there are three forms in entrepreneurship of legitimacy. That is, let's say, people. Let's say in Matar's case, he is both the person plus the services, the products that he's selling, the chickens, both have legitimacy, and therefore the business have legitimacy. I'll take my own as an example. I never had a website for more than 10 years because it was hacked a few times, and then I said no. Whoever I'm going to work with is going to be word of mouth. Now, no matter whether I didn't have a website for all those time, I had the legitimacy as a subject matter expert in terms of what I will do. So people didn't really care whether I had a website before or not, because they know the expertise that they would have got from me. I will share with you in the chat. So it's not perfect yet. We're still working on that. I will share there with you our website. But please, when you click on let's say the Institute, the NPO, and the podcast, those are still being built and will be done in 2 weeks. But that is, for example, we have some clients who said, Christa, we know you, but some of our committees where we need to go and get approvals for the work that you need to do, those people don't know you. So in part of legitimacy is also to be visible in terms of certain social media platforms like LinkedIn, as an example. Why am I echoing? I just want to see why I'm echoing. Okay. Matar, your hand is up.
Yes. Legitimacy is related to legality or related to the, as you said, exactly that the trust of people for getting this product or services.
Legitimacy is the whole package. So the legality will form a part of that. To say if your business is not legal, or if I can say it's not complying with the things of the country, then it may impact your legitimacy. But let's say, for example, you get, let's say in Egypt, I want to use the example that I think Yusuf has shared last week as well. So let's say you go and get somebody's wife who's now making food, but there's no a business, legal business. Now, then the legitimacy in that context will be with that, let's say she starts selling to friends and mother groups or certain groups. So the legitimacy will have a boundary around that to say it is only seen as legit within the boundary of that target group, that where she is the person standing for the legitimacy, and they know her food and they want to support her. But if that lady now wants to go to the next level, she might not have the legitimacy. So the legality forms a part under the legitimacy.
Okay,
Is
great,
that
great. Yes,
okay?
yes, very clear now.
Okay. So these are the next slides. So I just want to go back quickly in terms of the assignment. So the first one is you read the UN article. The second thing is you understand the pre-model. Those are the 4 elements of intention, resources. It is this intention, boundary, resources, and exchange. Then we've done the bootstrapping. That's for a slide. Now the legitimacy is the slides 10 to 13. That's what we're quickly going to run through with you. Okay. Now, there are 3 forms of legitimacy that you can then go and address. The one is people-based legitimacy. So in this case, it's like with Matar, he ticked the box with his clients of the people-based legitimacy. So he has already, if you look at the people part here, he's already ticked the goodwill part. Okay. He's already ticked the public recognition part. It may not be a public recognition like a big chicken producer, but in the boundary of his client circle, with them he has ticked the public recognition, but not necessarily with clients outside or customers outside of that circle. Then is product and services recognition as a tick within the boundary of those specific grouping of clients, but it may not have the product service name recognition outside of that boundary of client focus. He may have the tick with a business network membership for that specific boundary of clients that is supporting him. But if Matar now wants to go to the next level of his business, he will need to have make an assessment to say, what does he need to get in place in terms of enhancing, let's say, public recognition outside the boundary of that circle, if he wants to now go and compete outside the boundary of where he is operating now, or where he needs to go and create new business networks that can also widen his sales of the chickens there. Okay. Then you might come to a point is if he exits or he grows outside his current boundary, he might then say, but I can't do this while working and with the resources that I have now. Then he may, like I had to get resources when we scaled in terms of developing entrepreneurs, and got Mpilo and Richard and another guy, a third guy also on board to say, okay, what do you need now if you want to scale outside I want to say, your comfort zone of where you are operating now or have operated before. So that is what you're going to look at in your assignment as well. And Matar, you can use your example of the chicken farming in your assignment as well. And the others can use any example, whether it's your own or whether it's a friend to have a small business, as an example. So this is what's being seen under the people-based legitimacy of entrepreneurial business. Any questions or comments on this before I take you to the next indicator? Okay. Thank you, Nuran. So then the next indicator is seen as your product-based legitimacy indicator. Okay. So there you will look at, you'll see there's a column product under table 3.2. You will look at your customer assurance. Okay. So how does your customers put the stamp of approval, of assurance on your products? The goal is really to make sure that your customer knows about the details of your products and that they are happy with you. I just want to put off the one mic. Thank you. So this is not where they put the stamp on Matar's as the person, but now they're putting the stamp on Matar's product. It's the chicken and the delivery thereof. So it's the product-based one. Then it is also, the second one is experiential support. This is extremely important in terms of what references does Matar have. So for example, he wants to now go to the next level. Does he have written or verbal references that he can use from happy clients? So let's say you want to open a website now, or he wants to go to a chain of retail stores. So I always advise to say, as you go on, get your references from clients and ask their permission that you can use it in marketing. In South Africa, it suddenly has become a huge thing if you're going into a tender that you get points. To say if you have 5 or more references, you get on this tender, let's say 30 points. If you have 2 to 5 references, then in your grading system, you'll get, let's say, 2 points. If you have no references, basically you get 0 on that category. So what we do is, as we develop entrepreneurs, we ask them now to say, what does this mean to you? And then can we use it on our website or on our LinkedIn as references? So this is just a habit because legislation also in certain countries will dictate that or not dictate that. But if you are scaling, people will want to know, why would they need to use you? Apart from Matar, you are a fantastic entrepreneur and we trust you. But how would the people that need to make a decision with us know that we can trust your product? Okay. Then the next one aligns with that. It's the customer service, your quality standards, your environmental friendliness, and your environmental compliance. That's where this fall here. Your testimonials, as I've said now. Some people will have intellectual property. How do you protect that? If you have things that need to be patented, or if you need to register intellectual property, what is it that you need to protect? Because otherwise anyone can take either the name of your company or your product recipe or whatever needs to happen. And then service visibility. I am not a big boffin on social media, but the people working with our entrepreneurs says that TikTok and Instagram are one of the trenders that we need to go in. So I still need to, okay, I said tick the WhatsApp, but we're going to learn this TikTok. So all of you that are in business needs to identify, how do you take your business, your happy customers, now to make it visible for you, because people who doesn't know you, but you may put it on social media, they might see that and they'll say, oh, I wanna contact Matar. We have a function coming up, and other people are crazy about his chickens. So I'm definitely want to contact him to see how can we use his, or he want to export. But then he needs to have the assurances of certain things in place. Okay, so the first indicator is people. The second one is product. Okay, I'm going to open it for questions after the third one. Okay, the third one is organization-based legitimacy. So first one is, let's use Matar's example, is people have put their stamp of approval on him as the entrepreneur to say anything where he's involved, I am assured that my delivery is going to be on time and the products are going to be of high quality. Then the second thing is, let's say if the chickens is his products. Yes, they're happy with the person. Are they happy with the product? Now the third one is the person and the products, let's say Matar and the chicken that is producing, forms an organization together. Are they happy with the organization? For example, they might be happy with Matar, they might be happy with the products, the chickens, but they might not be happy with some of the things that is part of the organization. For example, so let's say internet presence, or firm, the company ownership, or the company name. Matar might have a company name that may trigger some negative things in certain people through their worldviews, but not the same with others. The way of how he's putting his chickens might be okay for certain, let's say it is a halal, we have the stamp on approval, but other people would say, but you know, we don't really care about that, or the way you're doing with certain things is we're not happy. So that will inform how Matar's boundary of growth, to say, will he grow more to this side, or will he more grow to that side, or how will certain things impact as his business grow, if he scales. Some people will like certain things and some people won't like certain things. So these are, what is the organization behind a Matar? Okay. Also, what comes in here is branding. And how you're going to, Matar's going to brand his business, and how catchy is it going to be to fit what the market also needs. Okay, so these are the three indicators you're going to look at: the person, the product, and the organization. Let me just go up. Last slide on the organization, things that you will look at, Matar will need to look at. I'm using Matar as an example. Is the one is media organization visibility, the history of the organization, the internet presence on the previous slide. Also, this one was what is the name of the ownership? Is it catchy enough? Then media, we already, that one is a duplication, so I can see, but that comes from the book. Okay. History is also a duplication. Okay, time commitment. Is it a part-time organization? Is it a full-time organization? And then are the hours of operation convenient to them? Is it a 9 to 5? But what about those people that only can do business after hours? Is it an online business? Is it a remote business? So those are the things that will influence then the organization's based legitimacy. Another one that will influence is, so let's say Matar is, I'm just using it, so a one-man show, and he's sick or he's out of the country. Some people can't get hold of him. That will definitely influence the organization legitimacy. Or what succession planning or what plan B will Matar put in place if he's not available, so that the business can run whether he is there in person or not. Okay, these are the things that you will just can look at when you do your assignment as well. Any questions or comment on legitimacy so that we can move on? Nothing. Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to, okay, this is the slide that is, the next thing that you're going to look is also under when you make the right decisions and make ethical decisions in terms of, so the things that they have listed is how do you handle a crisis. So for example, Matar has explained in COVID, Matar, when certain of the prices include, you stopped for 3 months and then you came back. That is a typical example of how do you handle a crisis. That wasn't a personal crisis, but it was a, does the business need to stop, or how does it bring the business back to life to make it sustainable? The second one is to achieve sustainability is crucial for any business, whether you're a corporate or whether you are a small business. And that brings us to the third one, is making ethical decisions. Now, I don't know how it works in your countries, but what I do pick up, a few weeks ago, I was traveling a lot. I had to facilitate 3 weeks in different towns or cities for entrepreneurs. And in the one, I remember it was a Thursday afternoon in this small town called, in one of the provinces, Nelspruit, and one of the entrepreneurs sat with me afterwards because we had done a session in terms of problem solving. And one of the things that I've asked them is, how do you deal with corruption? And because I also lecture in ethical intelligence, I'm more than welcome to give you things on that as well. I always ask the question, so how do you deal with corruption? For example, is if somebody say to you, you only can get this business if you give us this amount of A, B, and C. So I was sitting with this gentleman and he explained to me, but in their town, they cannot get business from government if they don't give them a brown envelope. That means an envelope full of cash. So I asked him and said, okay, so are you doing it? And he said, there's no other way that I could get business. So I gave the same question the next week when we were in Johannesburg to another group, and they also said, Christa, I got an SMS from this person in Department of Public Works. If I want to be on the short list, I need to pay 30,000 Rand in. And I asked her, so did you do it? And she said, no, it's against my moral and ethical code. So these are the things that may differ from country to country or from business to business. And that is the question, what do you do when you need to decide what is right or wrong? Do you blur the lines for the sake of business, or do you live by your ethical and moral code? I want to explain an example with you. I quickly want to take you there. I'm going to come back to this. And you see in front of you is making ethical decisions.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to take you to this example of the ethical intelligence. Okay. So ethical intelligence is one of the new trendy things that's coming into supply chain or into decision making. In South Africa, I was the only one so far that has done workshops for government in terms of ethical intelligence. But this comes for those of you who want to read, is you can go and read some of the things on Bruce Winstein. And the 5 questions that they are teaching you in terms of that is to ask you all before you make a decision, will this cause harm to anyone? Will this make things better? Will this respect others? Is it fair? And is it caring? And oops. Can you, if I want to play the video quickly to you, did you hear when I started that? Did you hear when I shared?
Just
did
try
you hear
to
it?
turn it. Yeah.
Mpilo, yes, Mpilo coming. Do I just turn it on? Can you hear that?
I'm sure.
Can you hear that? I just paused. I just want to hear if you hear it before I play the
No.
whole video.
No.
We need to include the computer working.
On the
Yeah, so stop sharing and reshare again.
okay, but it's linked on my. Pilo's just helping me quickly. It's embedded on the slide.
Yes.
That's that one. This one. It's this one. But that's what I did. I just want to check quickly again. Can you hear this? Can you hear this? Can you hear the video?
No, no.
No.
Okay. Okay. So what I will do is I'm going to ask him. I'm going to ask Mpilo to drop this video on Moodle. This is Bruce Winstein, and he explains the difference between emotional intelligence and ethical intelligence, and that's linked to the 5 things. If you need to decide, it's do I take the right decision, or do I take the wrong moral decision? For example, can you see in front of you ethical fading?
Yes.
Okay, so this is also a term, those of you in corporate as well, and who works on ethics in your corporates. One of the things that you can start, so I have a whole 2-day workshop on ethical intelligence, but I'm more than willing to share it with you. So the one thing is, there was a case, and just to explain that sometimes we may decide, yes, this is ethically right for us, and sometimes we must rationalize why it is ethically not wrong. But you either are in integrity with your ethics and your moral code, or you are not. But the world we live in has made it so easy for ethical fading, so that sometimes you take the right decision and sometimes you don't take the right decision, and you rationalize why it is not wrong. That's called ethical fading. So there was this example of in the 1970s, they've designed a Ford Pinto. And then the Ford managers experienced ethical fading, and I'll explain to you why. At the time, they had to take a decision on something, and they didn't see it as ethically an issue, but it became a financial issue for them. Okay, so they had to design this car, but because they have put the money portion over the ethics, a lot of clients and that bought that Ford Pinto died. And what they did then is Ford was fined for at that stage for $900 million because of they were aware of something that was not ethically right, but they took it on as an organization. And to remember, organizations are made of people, and people are part of teams. And the decision that the people took in Ford at this stage is that they would have lost too much money if they do the ethical thing by stopping the production of that car at that stage. But that resulted in a lot of people dying because they had ethical fading in their decision making at that stage. And then at the end, they had to pay so much money when they were caught out, if I can put it like that, because so many people died, and they came back. The decision that they should have taken to stop then and didn't do that is loss of lives, and they were fined for ethical fading. So the one thing that you need to start looking in the work that you're also doing is, are you always doing the ethical thing, or are you in your life having any ethical fading? For example, those that I've said to you, we call it the penguin method, is that they won't get any business unless they giving a brown envelope with cash to certain people. Now, the sad thing of that is those are people that are known for ethics on social media, but in their daily as small businesses, they take a decision every day to practice ethical fading and to rather rationalize it that it's right instead of doing the right thing. And that is where ethics comes into a big business and small business. But there's a concept called ethical fading that you need to start becoming aware of and identify in your own life, in your businesses, and in your corporate environment. Any questions? I wish I can do a whole workshop for you on ethics and morality in terms of business, but because I'm very passionate about that. Any questions or comments in terms of the ethical part of business related to your to what we were talking about now?
Yes. Question.
Okay, I hope I can answer it honestly.
Sure. So, as you said that in some cases that it is your right, and others will stop you from getting your right in the business unless they take some money or they take a bribe. So will it be, although it is my right to take this part or to take this whatever thing that I should have it, is it right to pay for him or to pass it because I'm not harming anyone? If I answer the 5 questions, I will not see, I see that I'm not harming anyone, but I'm taking my right. Is this right from ethical point of view? If I'm not harming anyone?
In terms of their model of ethical, no. But in terms of the question that you need to, so in terms of this Bruce, I think it's Bruce Winston. yeah, Prince Winston's model of ethical intelligence. If you only ask a black and white question, the answer is no, that may not be wrong. However, all of us grew up, whether it is in certain religious, certain philosophies, certain our parents, or for to say what is your code, because ethics are informed with your moral code. So is your moral code influencing, definitely influencing that, but according to your moral code, will that be ethical for you or not? In terms of my moral code is, I will rather lose business than doing the wrong thing. But it will depend on what is your moral code also saying. So it's good to have books like this, but you must remember this is the first guy in the world that has developed that. So the second person might be you to say, but listen, your model is flawed because of reason A, B, and C. And the third person might say to you, but your moral, your ethical intelligence model is flawed because A, B, and C. So that is where ethical fading comes in, to say, yes, in terms of this, you're not harming anyone. You want to make things better. You respect others. You're fair and you're kind. But is this model of ethical intelligence, is it right or is it flawed? And most probably, each one of us may say it's flawed for reason A, B, and C. That may be different from yours to mine, because we have different moral codes that influence our ethical intelligence. Does that make sense?
Yes, sure.
The same with spiritual intelligence. So I'm a master trainer in spiritual intelligence. So the same with spiritual intelligence. One model may say this is what needs to happen in terms of spiritual intelligence in business, or spiritual intelligence in bringing this into account. So I've written papers on that as well. But coming back to you, or Matar, or Lazat, or Yusuf, each one of you, those things are influenced by our moral code that will say, no, this is right or this is wrong. And the more ethical, just quickly, and the more ethical fading we have over this world, it's no wonder this world is in such a mess, because of ethical fading of people's moral codes of conduct. And then it's a question, how do we change? How do we contribute as individuals to re-establish a strong moral code of what is right and wrong in business? And with this, we can have a whole class over and a dialogue over. But I wanted to plant seeds to say there are models out like ethical intelligence, but it doesn't make it necessarily ethical. Does that help?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well, Professor.
I just want to put. Just let me put
yeah, but
off.
I will still.
Sorry. Just say again.
Yes.
I'm listening.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because while you are talking, you actually pointed out that it might not really mean the ethical intelligence might not really mean harming or causing harm in the organization, the business. But my question is this: if you critically examine what Weston talks about ethical intelligence, he talks about being bold to declare the ethical intelligence as to determine how successful you are on your job, how strong your relationships with friends and family. Now, I want to find out if someone comes to the business or in organization, and being that they appreciate your level of how you operate your work, and each time the customer come to the office, they are highly excited. They feel happy to come to do business with us. And now they decided to give us some token as to appreciate us by being kind to them. And remember that the number 5 uh, question, ethical question, talks about if it is caring. And in this case, now a member of my organization said, no, we are not supposed to collect that appreciation, a cash gift appreciation from a customer who was pleased on the way we handled his transaction. Ethically, how are you going to advise me on that?
So the one thing is, do no harm can also be translated, are you allowed to do that or not? Even if you use the words do no harm, but it also means, are you allowed to do that or not? So if your organization has a policy of, no, you don't receive gifts, you don't do this, you don't do that, and you accept that, in a way you have harmed the ethical brand reputation, what the organization stand for, and by accepting that is ethical fading, where the organization also said you're not allowed to do that, but you do it anyway. And the more people have ethical fading, the more corruption we will have, and the more corruption becomes or unethical behavior become the acceptable norm. So the one thing is, no, you cannot do harm to your organization, because they explicitly said none of our employees are allowed to do that. Okay.
But Professor, don't you think it will serve as
I have 5 minutes
motivation?
left. Just say again, I struggle to hear you.
Okay, what I'm saying is, won't it serve as a motivation to the employee while on duty to be working hard?
It's not, if it's against the organizational policy, you're not allowed to do that. So whether you see it as a motivation or not, you've signed up to that organization, and you've signed up for what they stand for and what they expect from their employees. So therefore, unless you got permission otherwise it will be a contravention of things you have signed for that you will treasure and respect. I just want to quickly, I need to take you through one more thing on that's the SDGs, but there's a hand up of Yusuf.
Yeah, Professor, I just wanted to add one point here.
Okay.
So it's not always black and white, and
Yes.
you are in the business like for long time, especially in some Eastern countries. You have to deal with some level of corruption, and even the like international organizations, they have some policies. So what you can do, what you cannot do, and there is like code of code of like conduct and code of ethics. So you have to follow some policies. Sometimes they will give you a limit of the gifts you can give to the governmental like officials. Sometimes you have to deal with some invitations like tickets, bookings. Even like sometimes if you, I was working, my last job in Middle East was a specification manager in one of the like international organizations. And sometimes if you go to get your products like approved, you have to invite some officials to visit your factory. Okay.
Yeah.
And they will ask for like, okay, so we need to visit your factory to get it approved, but we need to go to Europe instead of your factory here in Middle East. So I'll try to make it short, so you know better than me that sometimes you have to bend the ethics a little bit, but to prevent like harming your organization. Thank you so much.
Okay. I will thank you so much for that, you two. I will I'm going to look how can we bring let's say a little bit of ethical intelligence in some of the other modules in where we can make it so that we do the introduction today, and then we can maybe bring it in some of the other modules in also where it is very specific, because I don't want to go over time. We have 3 minutes left, and I just want to take you through quickly through the SDG goals, because you will need to do that in your assignment. Okay. Any one of you wants to have it afterward, chat to me on ethics, but ethics is also a very personal thing, but I will try to bring in a little bit more on ethical intelligence outside this Weinstein's thing in some of the other modules as well. Okay, is that okay? So that I can just quickly finish here? Happiness? Happiness? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so in terms of, we have looked at here at sustainability, so achieving sustainability. So one of the things that it's for me, it's fascinated. I've done the training also in terms of that is the focus on entrepreneurship and in corporates on the triple bottom line. And in terms of the triple bottom line of sustainability, it includes your planet. It's the first P. Here at the bottom, that means your environmental protection. All the things linked to climate change and green procurement will very much fall under the planet that is linked to your natural resources, your water, your air, your energy, and your land use. How responsibly are you and innovatively are you doing that? Then the second P is people. Now, sometimes they also now bring in things into the business management in terms of social capital, a link to the people part. So that is how responsibly are you dealing with your social variables, which include your community, your education, your social resources, your health, your well-being, and quality of life of the people that is working in your organization, whether it's corporate or not corporate. Then the third P is the profit part. Is then how do you deal with the bottom line? And that means it's your actual, whether you make a loss or whether you make a profit, and cash flow. And this is by bringing together the triple bottom line. So if you hear triple bottom line, it refers in sustainability to your people, planet, profit, your 3 Ps. So what you're going to look at, so then the next part, the United Nations really identified then 17 goals in terms of what needs to be achieved by the year 2030. So both big businesses and entrepreneurship are falling under this. So here are the 17, and I just want to take you through it quickly. And so there's the one goal is no poverty, 0 hunger, good health and well-being, number 3. Number 4, quality education. 5, gender equality. 6, clean water and sanitation. 7, affordable and clean energy. 8, decent work and economic growth. 9, industry, innovation and infrastructure. 10 is to reduce inequalities. 11 is sustainable cities and communities. 12 is responsible consumption and production. 13 is climate action. 14 is life below water. 15 is life on land. 16 is peace, justice, and strong institutions. And 17 is partnerships and goals. So what I've done for you is I did a little research. So you guys can use this as an example, in coordination with, so this one here has been identified. So how can you generate more social economic value through entrepreneurship? And these are the 16, 2, 4, 6, 7, the 14 that is generally identified that is applicable on entrepreneurship. What you need to do is take this, then align that with, let's say, no poverty and hunger here at the bottom is number 1 of the SDG goals on this block. Identify then, if you read through, we've attached on Moodle a PDF on a article that has been done in late 2022. So it's a very new research article by the United Nations in terms of the SDG goals on entrepreneurship. So that's why I've said first, yes, read the article. I just want to get here. First, read the article. That's the UN article. Then you go through that and then bring all the elements together and then look at the article and the elements. Identify then a case study, whether Matar takes this one with chickens, or whether, let's say, Yusuf uses his on his corporate, or whether Ollie uses hers on the non-profit or the consultancy business. But each one identify, how do you want to use it? Whether you want to use it on your corporate, or whether you want to use it in terms, that means entrepreneurship, or whether you want to use it actually on a small business, let's say entrepreneurship. Bring these elements together and then stand back and take a bird's view and to say, if you can, in a way, say where they all miss the plot, where's the gap, and bring it together in terms of a recommendation for your chosen organization. That's the one bottom, is make recommendations for them to become sustainable. And then 2 is advise them on the do's and don'ts on this path towards sustainability. What should they not do and what should they do? You can do it in a table form. You can do it in a PowerPoint form. You can write it there, whatever the system allows you to do, but just be creative and bring your view in of what you would advise your chosen organization to do. Okay. It's your approach, nothing I'm going to see as right or wrong. I'm really going to look at how innovative have you approached this individual assignment. Any questions or comments before we close out?
Professor?
Yes?
Okay, thank you very much. My not really question as regards the sustainability, but it has to do with the assignment. When I started this semester, I was closely engaged with other assignments, and I actually could not really follow up. I didn't really understand the first step, but now I can fully. So when I really go through the module, because I was having a challenge in my system and internet, so I couldn't really understand. But later when I would go through it and I saw the assignment, when I finished, but I couldn't submit because it has already expired. So I was waiting today if I can have grace to submit the assignment week 1 with this current one.
Okay, so what is your actual question? What is the question? Do you need more time to finish your assignments, or what is your question?
Yeah, my question is the first one I've not actually submitted. The week 1, I actually, because I couldn't submit, they said it has timeout, so I couldn't really find how to submit that. week 1 assignment.
Okay. So do you need more? Do you need more time?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So just quickly for everybody, because Abulela, are you online, eh?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So there's 2 in the group that has asked for more time. There's one that is really very ill. She has asked, Ahmed has asked for more time. So we try to give time for specific people, but the system doesn't allow us. So if we give more time, then the system will open it for everybody. So I'm more than happy if we take because the system doesn't allow it to only make for certain people. So I'm more than happy if you guys want to catch up on assignment 1, 2, and this one, because this one is going to be a little more work. If we make it not next Sunday, if we give you 2 weeks to do this, will that help? Then you catch up on assignment 1, 2, and then this week to have it till next Sunday. Will that help?
Yes, Professor. Yes, for me, I haven't found your PowerPoint slides in WhatsApp. Today I found. That's why I'm so sorry for how to send my assignments. I didn't have any idea. So sorry. Please,
that's fine.
We need more time. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to ask Mpilo to open it then up for 2 weeks. I just need to see, to allow you, but I can't do more than that because otherwise you're going to get behind and the pace is going to pick up. So 2 weeks from now, then you catch up on your week 1, 2, and 3. Is that okay?
Yeah, that is better for us, Professor.
Okay,
2
thank
weeks.
you very much.
Okay.
Thank you
So,
very much.
if you struggle and you can't find something, really send me a message on WhatsApp, so that if I can't help, then I always refer it to, if it's a system-related thing, back to Sarah or to the university. But if it's like, I don't find, let's say, this PDF, please don't, not the book's PDF. I don't have a PDF of the book. But let's say I don't find the slides, then I don't want you to struggle and I don't want you to be, but you must be diligent and do your part, because there's a lot of students in the class that really keep up to date. So that's also not fair to them if the others are lagging behind. But I want all of you to graduate this semester with this course. Okay.
Yes, Professor. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay. Any other? Yes.
Yes, I have a quick question on this assignment for week 3. So what I understood is to read the PDF that you're going to upload. After reading that, we see the content that we learned today. You've listed the slides. So based on the titles we have here on the questions, we advise, or the advice we give to an entrepreneur, we write it down.
Yes.
In whatever format we want, and then submit, right?
Yes. So, for example, you take Matar's chickens. You first read through the quiz, through the assignment to say, okay, how after the PDF, the article, to say what of those things would have impacted, let's say, on SDG. Then you put it in the back of your mind. Then you go to number 2 there. You can print this slide out on the assignment. So, okay, using the BRE model, then you go to slide number 3. Okay, so then you will say, okay, what elements are there? Then you list, say, the things that we had to consider for Matar's business is the 4 elements of the BRE: boundaries, resources, intention, and exchange. Then you can write on, let's say, on intention, what did you need to, what did you advise, or can you advise Matar in terms of the boundary one? What advice in terms of the resources, what is doing differently or what he should do? On intention and exchange, click, tick. Then you go to number 3, then you go to the slide number 4 to say, okay, what of that in terms of bootstrapping in Matar's business environment or in Siemens would you recommend is very important and why? Tick. Then you go to number 5 to say, okay, what ethical decisions is important for his industry? What would you recommend to him in terms of doing the right things? And let's say, for example, he bribe people, that in that industry or in that country is going to backfire and harm him. Or why is it important? Tick. Then you go to number 6 in terms of the SDG goals. Then what you do is you go to these slides. You go to the slides, or you can do research. You identify in terms of people, profit, planet. Which of these goals is absolute non-negotiable for the success and sustainability of his business? Then you can do a little table. So let's say you identify 5 of them. Let's say in this case, you identify whatever ones you want to, then next to it, you will say, why is it important for him? And then you make a close out in terms of just the do's and don'ts. In terms of, I just want to get to the assignment in terms of sustainability. And you do it in your own way, your own thinking, your own worldview. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and if you struggle, then obviously I can't do the thinking for you, but if you struggle and you've done homework and you've done a little research and you still then struggle, then you send me a WhatsApp so that I understand what are you struggling with, but don't overcomplicate it.
Do we have like a similar assignment, a simpler one that is that we can read as an example for us, and then each one can build his own idea, but at least we can read something very similar to what we should do? Do you have something like that?
No, Matar, but what you need to do is physically use your, really, you just use, let's say, BRE model. Then you write the 4 things down and then identify what is it that you think, why is it important for entrepreneurship. So don't overcomplicate it. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for application. How would you take these things that's in these slides and apply it? So it's not perfection, it's really just application.
Okay.
Okay, don't go for perfection. Just be creative and just use your logic. Okay, don't overcomplicate. I really are looking for what you think, why it's important. It's not about perfection. Okay, you're all happy?
Yes, thank you, Professor.
Okay, but you can contact me at any time when you, even if you want to say, this is what I've done, you drop it for me in the WhatsApp so that I can open it there. Am I on the right track? Wonderful. Okay, I'll see you next Sunday and I'll ask Mpilo to open week 1, 2, and 3. Open that up for 2 weeks' time to help all of you to catch up.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank
Have a good day.
Okay, all of you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Professor.
Bye-bye. Be blessed, eh?
Next week.